You can't see me 5-0. You can't see me, Maria.
Alien Corey, you've got the call here with round 12. Anyway, hello everybody. Hi, Ailey Loney alongside Corey Baumeister. And it's a tale as old as time, Corey. It's food versus Phoenix. It's the birds versus the bagels. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
The bagels, I like that one. I'm going with the food. It is a pretty good matchup for this strategy. We've seen it time and time again, but if anybody's going to be able to come back from a bad matchup, it is Shota Yasooka, so it should be a good one.
It should indeed. Now, these two have faced off against each other in standard already, with David Inglis picking up the win against Shota Yasooka. So he's going to be looking for a little bit of redemption against the 10-1 player that he shares the top spot with here.
Yeah, absolutely. Both players 10-1, so looking great. You know, both of them are going to be almost assuredly competing in the World Championship against each other. Now they have their eyes on that top 8. 12 is that magic number. Even 11 might be good enough. We're not confirming that for sure yet, but a win here really sets them up for an incredible chance at the top 8.
Oh, yeah. Also, if you get to 12 wins, you get to chill out for the rest of the day. Now, I know there's not that many rounds left to go, but, you know, just an extra hour of downtime just to chill, relax, gather your thoughts, prepare for tomorrow, because that's a big, big day tomorrow. Top 8, you want to get into the top 6, and you bet your blue and red mana, friends, I don't know why I said that, but anyway, that everybody just outside of those itty-bitty boxes is rooting for those players ahead of them to get into top 6.
Absolutely. We're going to have some very unusual fans of certain players coming into that final day. There's going to be a lot of, if this person wins at least a match, it's going to qualify multiple people into the World Championship and stuff, and maybe people that are not even playing in the event. So that's going to be an exciting day. Make sure to tune in tomorrow to see all that action.
Oh, yeah. And as much as these players would love to clone themselves in the World Championship, you cannot have 2 seats. No matter how much you beg, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, one of those spots go to the at-large contenders. So it's going to be a very interesting day indeed. As we get things rocking here, Cauldron Familiar, Ravenous Squirrel, an Oven down on the battlefield. And now we're considering our options here as Opt goes into the bin, along with the copy of Consider for Shota Yasooka.
Yeah, absolutely. A great start here, especially for David, really for both players, but trying to get these Ravenous Squirrels out of range as soon as possible. If you ever get them to that magic number of 7, it becomes extremely difficult to actually deal with these cards, since Unholy Heat would have to be paired with something else to deal with them. So not an easy feat to be able to deal with a monster creature from the Izzet strategy. Not too many bounce effects. And as I'm looking at Shota's list, no Brazen Borrowers in the main. Some players have tried to have that one cheeky number to be able to bounce some big stuff, but Shota says no. Also doesn't play Ledger Shredder. I thought that was really interesting, Ailey.
Yeah, Sprite Dragon got to hang around here for Shota, so maybe perhaps just appreciating another hasty threat, you know, to just get the job done when you need that little bit of extra punch. But so far, looking so good, the Squirrel can get out of range of Unholy Heat as it stands right now, as it currently doesn't have enough cards in the graveyards to do the 6 points of damage.
Yep, absolutely. But flying being an extremely excellent way at attacking these Golgari food decks, and Stormwing Entity being another really good way to attack how these decks are really traditionally built if you don't play cards like Mortality Sphere. Fatal Push does not do a great job at dealing with a Stormwing Entity. All you really got to do is try to get a Meat Hook Massacre for 3, and this early in the game, that's no easy feat.
No, not at all, but I like the plan here from David Inglis. Just make these squirrels freaking-enormous and slap them as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah,
It's the
David's
birds
going nuts
versus... Yes, the birds versus the rodents at this point. So get on in there, Squirrel. 6 points of damage, down to 11 goes Shota. The race is on.
Yeah, and at this point, you know, Shota is just already really on the back foot. Number one thing Shota has to do, get Delirium. That's got to be step one. There's a second Unholy Heat, so if we can find a way to get Delirium and clear off both of these squirrels, you know, it's a huge advantage in Shota's favor versus, you know, just even one of these squirrels hanging around is pretty bad news bears.
Yeah, so bad news squirrels in this case.
Yes, of course.
But we are going to see another land down here, an opt, and the storming entity is going to get pretty big indeed and return the favor here, but needs a
That was the
blocker,
card we
needs
needed.
removal. Woo! Hello, faithless looting. Let's get some of these birds in the bin, just one for the time being, but that is an extra blocker on the battlefield, and that... it's not enough to get the job done here, and if he swings, he's probably dead, because this Fatal Push can just clear out this Arclight Phoenix, and then boom goes the squirrel.
Yeah, and by card we needed, I meant the card that just allowed an Arclight Phoenix to come in as a blocker just to stay alive. We hit Delirium, but without any mana, that wasn't going to be possible. But one removal spell clears it out. And even if we got to untap their Shota, those squirrels were probably going to be getting above 6/6s, so it was going to be pretty difficult anyways.
Oh, for sure. So now you're going to see Shota turn to the Graveyard Hate strategy. Well, actually, no, taking it out. Never mind. I lied about that. But bringing in the Abrades, bringing in the Gates, and bringing in some extra firepower in the form of the Crackling Drake. On the other side of things, though, some hearses to keep those birds in check, as well as Maelstrom Pulse.
Yeah, Lantern is really more of just a Phoenix card. Being able to try to pick off a Cauldron Familiar in the yard is looking at things, you know, a little bit through, you know, a bright lens there.
Glasses.
Exactly. Thank you.
You ever tried to herd a cat, Corey? Or cats? It's very difficult.
I've been scratched before, yes, absolutely.
Oh, so you've actually caught them? Okay, so you're ahead of a lot of us in that respect.
Yeah. Well, maybe I've tried to, you know, pet a cat and then they, you know, would always claw me. That's why I own a dog now, you know?
Good choice. So a couple more decisions here to be made for David Inglis, looking to improve his impressive record to 11 and 1 as well. Shota trying to do the exact same thing here. These players want to get to 12, be donezo for the day, and lock up those World Championship slots. Let's go into game number 2. Take a look-see here. Pretty good start, I must say, for David Inglis. On the other side of things, also not too shabby, but could use another land here for Shota.
Very interesting decision by Shota, because this is heavily reliant on Faithless Looting. You know, you get that 2 draws to find land number 2, and if you brick, it's really bad. You know, normally you have like a Consider or an Opt as well as Faithless Looting, so it's pretty hard to brick. But with this scenario, if you just don't draw land here, next turn you just have removal spells, which are very valuable, but not amazing. Shota making the decision to leave up and kill a creature first, and then Faithless Looting on turn 2 is pretty interesting as well.
Land? Nope, 2 pigeons, so good targets here for Faithless Looting. Does he find land? Ouch. Oh, that hurts us. Oh,
yeah,
no.
David just made the exact same sound that we did, I think, but, you know, kind of in favor of David there, because that was the cost.
That's worse.
Yeah, that was the cost for Shota in not casting turn 1 Faithless Looting, and that was the Punisher case of drawing another card like Faithless Looting or Opt, but not finding the land to immediately cast it for turn 2. Instead is kind of left with this, and now lost all that kind of value with the Phoenixes being stuck underneath the hearse.
Oh yeah, those birds aren't coming back. It's a little unfortunate, but it's not the only aerial threats that Shota has. He's not totally reliant on the Arclight Phoenixes. He has the Crackling Drakes, he's got the Sprite Dragons, and the Storming Entities, so he just has to find those and land, importantly.
Hearse has really impressed me across both formats so far. You know, a bigger leaning and a bigger emphasis on historic, but even in standard, it's just a tricky card to deal with. Vehicles have always kind of fit that mold of just really tricky cards to play against, since they dodge all these, you know, mass removal spells like Burn Down the House in standard. You know, they dodge Meat Hook Massacre, and you just get to sit by and manipulate your opponent's graveyards, even in matchups where that's not the biggest thing. You know, of course, against Phoenix, it is a big deal to take Arclight Phoenixes and other spells out of the yard. Even if you can't do that, it's still a good card.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, to Shota's advantage, he does have that copy of Abrade, so when it is time to care about the graveyard once again, he can take care of that unlicensed hearse. But there's also a Lurrus that he's going to have to deal with, because Lurrus likes to bring back 2 drops. Cheeky little kitten that she is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you even look at it in this way. This might be a little bit of a stretch, but if you abrade that on unlicensed hearse, still a 3 for 1. You know, I mean, you lost your Arclight Phoenixes, you lost your Faithless Looting, you lost your Braid. It's already gotten a lot of value is my main point out of those.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a 1 of a Braid as well.
Yeah. So he's going to pick his spot to get that rid of, but Lurrus is a consideration that he needs to deal with. So Soul Guide Lantern, it's going to get sacked to find a card, and it's going to be a Witch's Oven, but no cats in sight, just Lurrus of the Dream Den.
Exactly, and we did see that Goose in the yard, but Lurrus would have been very vulnerable to a very likely removal spell, and decided to not play it there, and rightfully so, with a lot of Pillar of Flames and stuff in hand.
Oh yeah, it's Removal City in Shota Yasooka's hand right now. Also found a Dragon's Rage Channeler, which is nifty. Ooh, oh man, no blue mana though, unfortunately, right now. To get that Storming Entity down, does find a dual land though. So that should allow him to get that down on the battlefield.
Yep, a huge draw there. Now we're going to see this powerful 3/3 hit the battlefield with 2 Meathook Massacres and 4 lands, though. I think I have an idea of what David would like to top deck here.
Oh yeah. Give me land. One time. Let's go. First things first, Unlicensed Hearse. Gonna chow on a couple more goodies in the graveyard. Making sure that Faithless Looting cannot be replayed. This thing is enormous right now. There's a land, but it's not untapped, unfortunately. Blooming Marsh wants to get out early. It's not a fan of showing up late.
And now here's the big problem for David. It's like you really wanted to go Meathook Massacre into your proactive spell, which the only proactive spell here is Lurrus. But now do you just play Lurrus into Goose because you have nothing else to do? And honestly kind of hope that Shota goes to destroy it so you can then Meathook Massacre? That feels pretty bad to use up that value. But the alternative is just what? Say go, maybe take 6 off Castle Lochthwain, you know, to draw a card? That doesn't sound very smart either.
No, don't do that. But you know what the danger is here as well, is that if you do get the opportunity to Meathook Massacre, there's going to be instance, you know, Shota is likely going to be able to protect the Storming Entity as well. So even with this land, it's not a guarantee that this bird is going down.
Very good point. The only guarantee we know now is Shota's probably going to take 6 damage from this Unlicensed Hearse coming in. Probably not a block
Seems
Shota's
like
interested
a good
in.
idea. Alrighty, let's kill some stuff. Goodbye, Lurrus of the Dream Den. Into exile you go. Or into the graveyard you go. And now free and clear to take care of that Unlicensed Hearse, but no rush to do it right now.
It'll be interesting if Shota wants to just fire it off now to get that extra point of damage in, or like you said, play around Meathook Massacre, but a little bit, you know, at least making David have 1 more land. I think I would love that play, because with 3 mana open, it becomes pretty rough and pretty risky to play a Meathook Massacre here, even for 4, because you could easily have 2 ops.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this is a pretty not so great play. But the one thing that David's got going for him here is, what else are you going to do? You know? So he might just fire it off anyways, and it is going to work out if he does decide to go for it.
Yeah, just has to shock in that land. Or
you would have
to shock in the land.
Yeah.
To get
to do it for 4.
Yep. Big think here. And also, you know, Shota would be pretty happy to see it used early, because there's a big Crackling Drake coming. So let's see where we go to first. It's going to be Soul Guide Lantern. Draw a card here for David Inglis. Oh, kitty cats arrived. Hey, okay, game's over.
Yeah, that's a bold claim, but you know what? I'll respect your opinion from that one.
Come on, how many games has this cat won?
A lot this weekend, that's for sure. An absolute lot. Yeah, very true. This has been extremely powerful. Food and Jeskai Storm, you know, the 2 decks that David did choose to bring to battle here this weekend, have both looked like the decks of the format to me. So kudos to not only David, but the rest of his testing team that, you know, seemed to kind of nail it. It's looked really good from both ends.
They certainly did. Expressive Iteration to kick off Shota's turn. Finds another Arclight Phoenix and a couple of lands, so Not the worst finds here. Stormcarved Coast, sure, that's fine. Always have some more lands, and I like leading off here with the Arclight Phoenix, because if this dies, you don't really care too much about that. Sure, it's probably going to die to a Fatal Push, but yeah, he wants to see these Meathook Massacres go away.
Exactly, yeah. We could easily see just a scenario where you just take 7, sack cat, bring cat back, maybe even leave it into the graveyard, and then maybe just sack a food to gain some life, and then Meathook Massacre the next turn. Since you have a couple extra foods laying around, you can also just Meathook Massacre and let Cauldron Familiar die naturally to be able to drain your opponent for an extra damage and then bring it back. So a lot of options that David's going to have with these extra bagels sitting around.
So he's going to take the 7. Down to 7 he goes. And on the end step, we will see El Cato sacrificed. There we go. One more cookie for his troubles.
Still one of my favorite moments on coverage was Marshall and Paul naming different food items every time that a cat and an oven got sacrificed. It was impressive.
That mirror was insane.
Yes.
Holy cow. I mean, like, I kind of just want to dump the Meathook Massacre down here. If not, why not? Shota's tapped out. There goes his Bird Force.
Yeah, it's just the decision of to do it for 3 or 4. I mean, I guess it's 3 no matter what.
Yeah.
But decides to just let it die instead of sacrificing it to oven or leaving up Fatal Push here. So interesting decision there. But you do have that extra food, so it's not like having 1 or 2 food with Cauldron Familiar makes that big of a difference.
Yeah. Oof. Cauldron Familiar is going to end up winning this on its own. I'm just putting it out there right now because he's just going to come back. He's going to ping. We got Meathook Massacre dinging our opponent as well. So David Inglis said that Golgari food beats Phoenix, and you know what? I believe him.
Yep, I really do. It was that kind of triangle in a historic matchup where these blue-white control decks really dealt with Golgari food, and then Izzet dealt with blue-white control. Well, there's one deck that didn't really show up to play this weekend, and it was blue-white control, so these food decks have looked really good.
Oh yeah, they've been going absolutely nuts. As our dear little cat is going to snack on 1 more food token and get rid of this Crackling Drake, courtesy of the Fatal Push. So as scary as you are, 11-4 Crackling Drake, you don't do all that much. And I think we might have lethal here with
here's the Hive if you want to just finish it off.
Yeah, that too.
And now it's just a decision, David's like, do I have to take this quote-unquote risk? When you're at 17, likely going to like 20 if you want. It's just David being as safe as possible here. This is such a big moment. I would say such a big moment in David's career as like, one of the, breakout moments or something. But at this point, David's just an established pro. He's just been dominating tournaments, joining the ranks of Shota in that established pro category.
Oh man, he has been absolutely crushing it, and just going for the safe play here, a Meathook Massacre for 1, and that's gonna do it! The cat gets it done! Sure, it had a little help from Meathook Massacre and an oven, but it was all the cat, Corey. I'm telling you, all the cats. So David Inglis, 2-0 versus Shota Yasooka. Look at that. Absolute sigh of relief. It's just like, okay, cool, rad, let's just keep going. 1 more win, and he is done for the day.